queer and trans folks, we are ingenious. Mm-hmm. And we take care of one another. And no one will do it quite as well. No one will do it for us, and no one will do it quite as well.
Hello and welcome to Fuck Yeah, the podcast where we say fuck yeah to being resourced and fuck no to fascism. So we are approaching the election. It is going to be here before we know it. And along with it is coming a lot of tension and anxiety because we are in the era of MAGA. And there is obviously a lot at stake in this election. And if we trust people when they tell us what they're going to do, we know that the MAGA extremists, if they do not win this election, will challenge the results. And there's a lot in the works that is going to create some chaos around this election this year. So what we'd like to do with today's episode is offer some resources to you, our wonderful listeners, for creating safety in your body, for self-regulation, for handling the tension and anxiety that is going to just naturally come over the next few weeks and possibly beyond. We are in this with you. We are feeling the stress and the anxiety as well. So what we've done is we've compiled a few resources from previous episodes, and I am also going to offer you a safety meditation that you can do. Now, I understand a lot of people listen in the car. So if you're listening right now in the car, don't worry. You can just skip ahead of the meditation and move on to Dr. Lucie Fielding. I have put together a clip from an episode that we had with her in season 2 about ways to stay grounded in the face of this incredibly toxic political environment that we find ourselves in, and also a technique for de-armoring. And then after that, we have a segment on Byron Katie's The Work. So if you listen to last week's live episode from Circa Queer Histories Festival, you'll remember that Sydney Rogers, aka Miss Barbecue, mentioned a quote from Byron Katie. So we thought it would be nice to share with you. Her process is called The Work, and it is a series of 4 questions that you can go through to self-regulate, to take a bit of a step back from any stories that are causing a feeling of a lack of safety or empowerment. This episode is our gift to you. You can return to it whenever you want for some tools for being resourced. And one of the other things I want to put out there is that my coaching books are open. I am now officially a certified embodied intimacy coach, and you can find me at sarahtomchesson.com. And I am offering our listeners 50% off of individual sessions between now and the end of the year, and 25% off of session packages. So if you are a listener of the podcast and you would be interested in a coaching space where you can get some one-on-one individualized support around really anything in your life relating to your sense of self-worth, confidence, identifying your needs, connecting with pleasure and joy, I am here for you. So what you'll do is you'll just go on my website and go to contact me and let me know that you're a listener. And then I will send you a special link to sign up and book sessions. So my books are open and I am ready to receive you all. So I would like to take you through a visualization, a meditation. Again, if you are driving or you're at work or you're not in a place where you can participate in this, you can skip ahead about 5 minutes. This is a tool that you can use or return to whenever you need for getting grounded and locating safety in your body. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and get comfortable wherever you're seated. Notice gravity holding you to your chair and really settle in here. And what we're going to do is some down regulating breaths. So, what do I mean by that? A down regulating breath is one that sends messages of safety and calm to the body. Inhale through your nose, and then you will exhale through your mouth. But you are going to make your exhale longer than your inhale. Please extend that exhale as long as you can. Let's get started. Close your eyes and take a nice inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Remember, the goal here is to extend those exhales as long as you can. And as you continue to take in air through the nose and exhale, those long exhales through the mouth, notice anywhere in your body that you need to shift or adjust so that you can get more comfortable. Maybe you want to scrunch your shoulders up to your ears and then roll them back. Just start releasing some of that tension. Inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the mouth. And as you do this, you can try to relax your jaw. This is where we carry a lot of our tension. Keep breathing in. Just feel the breath going deeper into your body, cascading down your limbs. We're going to do a little scan. So imagine that you've got a light beam scanning up from your feet to the top of your head. And as you're bringing this awareness to your whole body, take in any areas of tension, any areas where you are noticing comfort. You may have some parts of the body that you really just can't feel at all. And that's okay. It's all welcome here. You're just doing this scan as an assessment of the state of affairs in your body. Now bring awareness to one area in your body that feels at peace or where you notice some comfort. And if you don't have anywhere in your body yet, please, I invite you to move so that you can experience some comfort. And now as you bring your attention to this area of the body that you notice is calm or comfortable, imagine the temperature here. What color is this feeling? Does it have a texture? Is it smooth or soft? Maybe there's some weightiness to it. Maybe it's got a warm kind of fizzy quality. Whatever you notice, just allow your attention to linger there. We're still breathing in through our nose, out through our mouth. And as you continue breathing and noticing this area of comfort, safety, softness in the body, imagine that you are expanding that feeling out from that central point. Use your breath and your imagination to just make it a little bit bigger. And with each breath, we are expanding this feeling just as much as we can. Don't push it. But if you can, see if you can expand it to the edges of your container. So where your body ends. If this is in your chest, you're imagining that it's filling your rib cage. If this feeling is in your hands, you're imagining that your whole hand is filling with this sensation. Perhaps there's even some expansion out of your body. So you're holding it. It's starting to spread beyond your edges. So if this is a color, imagine that color is just filling your space. There's a temperature. Imagine that you're surrounded in that temperature. If there is a feel or a texture, imagine that you are enveloped in this comforting sensation. We're going to take a couple more breaths here. And you're going to just let this feeling wash over as much of your body as you can and enjoy this feeling. It is all going to be okay. Take in your whole body, and if there are any more points of tension, just need to bring a little extra care to use your last breaths to try to relax any lingering tension. Maybe it's in your jaw, your shoulders. If you're holding your stomach, really let it soften. And when you're ready, on your last exhale, you can open your eyes and just notice the state of your body. This feeling of safety and comfort is available to us whenever we need it. We just need to bring our attention to it and use our own internal resources, our breath and our imagination, to fill our containers with a sense of safety and okayness. And this is 5 minutes you can take for yourself whenever you need it. As you get into more of a practice with these types of exercises, using your breath and your imagination, sometimes this feeling of calm is something that you can call upon in the moment to support you. And of course, whatever tools are working for you right now, please call upon your loved ones, your tribe, your fidgets, your weighted blankets, your hot tea, your cool water, anything right now that you can bring into your space and into your practices and routines to feel just a little reprieve from what is taking place in the world. We invite you to do that. And we are sending you love. We are in the fight with you. And we thank you so much for coming on this journey with us and tuning in each week. And we are going to get through this. So now I bring you Dr. Lucie Fielding on de-armoring.
I feel like one of the other things that's happened in the last 3 years, there's just been such an onslaught of kind of a constant barrage of trauma and attacks on trans people, on queer youth, on bodily autonomy and abortion access and all of this sort of stuff. I know for myself, I took a period of time of not listening to the news at all and just trying to disconnect because it was just all too much. So I go back and forth between that, like, this is too much. I need to just like focus in this myopic way on my day-to-day life. And then, you know, trying to broaden my lens and look at what's happening and like, okay, how can I have impact? What can I do? Like when I feel helpless, it's really disempowering. So for me, it can be self-carry to look at like, okay, what is within my sphere of influence? Making a call to a certain elected official? Is it about volunteering time? Like what is actually a physical action I can take that can do some good? What are you doing in this time to take care of yourself and navigate this world that we are in?
Oh boy, howdy. It's been a couple of months. It's been a couple of years. I mean, I would say like desensitization really started in 2016. You know?
Yes.
And I think even further,
Prop 8,
Prop 8, you know, any of the
Voting
like,
right. Yeah, all of it. Yeah,
I think you're right in characterizing, and it feels like one collective trauma event after another. And, you know, as a therapist holding space for and with people, I'm having to be responsive to events that I myself am affected by and living at the same time, whether that's a pandemic or it's the many varieties of anti-trans legislation, anti-queer legislation. I think, you know, one of the things is, and it was something I was picking up in what you were saying, Sarah, is one is offering yourself compassion and grace and gentleness. We cannot be on all the time. As Emily Nagoski and Amelia Nagoski and the NAP ministry would remind us over and over and over again, especially the NAP ministry, dominant groups, oppressive structures want us to be exhausted. They want to cut off our capacity to dream. When we are cut off from dreaming, our body politic begins to break down. That's, I think, where I want to offer a lot of compassion and a lot of gentleness, because none of us are okay. Like, how could we be? So some things that I remember. One is that moral panics, like the ones that we're in, are not new. We've been having them in one way, shape, or form for as long, you know, it has recorded history, you know, in a sense, but especially in Europe, United States, Canada, and this idea of identifying a group and saying they are the problem, they are what's wrong with this country, this time. Gail Rubin, who is a wonderful cultural historian, also an amazing figure within Leatherdyke community. She wrote this piece in 1984. It was actually delivered as a lecture in 1982 at the Barnard Sex Conference. So kind of the flowering of sex-positive feminism. And in it, she talks about how moral panics function. The essay is called Thinking Sex. And it's often about turning it around like it's for the children.
Right.
We've got to protect the children. So one of the things that I remember is that we've been here before, recently. We can never depend on governments, establishment, organizations to do the right thing or to protect us. It's more that we protect us. I'm thinking of so many articles from like the late 80s and the 90s and the height of the HIV AIDS pandemic, that time. Folks like Amber Hollabaugh and Douglas Crimp. Douglas Crimp wrote this great essay, How to Be Promiscuous in an Epidemic. And Amber Hollabaugh in this essay, it's from 1999. It's an essay about queer and trans folks. We are ingenious. And we take care of one another, and no one will do it quite as well. No one will do it for us, and no one will do it quite as well.
Right.
And I think that that's really important. And so, like, when I think about the interventions we can make, it's not about, like, certainly signing petitions and doing the really grassroots legislative work, and advocacy work is really, really, really important. I also think it's about material aid to folks affected. You know, through mutual aid, through the smaller organizations that are local, that are on the ground, trying to do the crucial work of making sure that folks can find housing, pay bills. I think that that's really, really important to do. The other thing that I always do, I always come back to pleasure. Recognizing that part of that gentleness that I talked about is knowing that there are going to be days. I mean, I teach pleasure and erotic embodiment for a living. This is what I do. And damn, there are so many days I wake up and I'm just like, I am not in my body.
Yeah.
I can't be here, and that's okay. I can't be in shame or guilt around that. Whenever I can, if I can lean into pleasure, and not just sexual pleasure, erotic pleasure, but any pleasure of connection or sensual pleasure or intellectual pleasures, tactile pleasures, that is sustaining. It goes far beyond resilience. It goes to our thriving. It goes to our capacity to dream and to imagine futures.
Yeah. My therapist uses a term that resonates with me. She says, let's get you resourced. And for me, it's worked better, like for my brain, than like self-care or resilience or nurture, any of those things, because I'm like, oh, it's almost like that can take a form in my mind. And sometimes me being resourced is legit about just knowing when I've got to shut it down or like not be super embodied. Because sometimes that embodied experience, that type of presence is overwhelming when there's so much to feel and process and experience. And so being resourced might mean, oh, I've been really overloaded or overstimulated. And so it's about just like crawling into bed or putting on the, you know, favorite Netflix show. The tools in that toolbox has really worked for me. But this idea of like expanding your definition of pleasure is also so important, because I think some people think of it as having to be really epic. An orgasm, like orgasms have been blown up in our minds through media in this way where it's like an orgasm is only real if it's like epic and you're screaming and, you know, whatever. And so those two things, like sexual pleasure equals this big explosive kind of mind-blowing thing, and that's what pleasure is. But really it's like taking a sip of water and just noticing that you are hydrating your body is a pleasure. Like taking 5 minutes to step outside and feel warmth or cold or sun or wind on your skin, like that can be a pleasurable experience that just gets you grounded into that moment. And that's all it has to be. Like it can be so, like tasting a strawberry. Like it can be so simple. And I think that I don't know, things are like bigger, better, stronger, more productive. Like capitalism has kind of inflated things in this way where we've kind of lost some of the simple pleasures, or like the power of the simple pleasures.
Just the yumminess factor. Right? You know, just like this is an everyday, just like, oh, I'm kind of feeling this.
So there's something that you did in your Transsex 101 class. Was it de-armoring?
De-armoring.
De-armoring, not disarming. So de-armoring, I feel like it factors into this conversation in the way, like, it's hard to imagine being attacked from so many different angles and not wanting to armor yourself. And in fact, you know, outwardly, publicly, or whatever, maybe we do armor ourselves. But I wonder if de-armoring is in its own like political resistance as well as being a self-care.
Talk me through this. I wasn't in the class, so I'm curious. What is this?
Do you want to do it with Sarah?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah. So first of all, I owe all of this learning to dear friends and colleagues in somatic sex education, and the activity that I would do was taught to me by a dear friend, Katie Spataro, who's a sexological body worker and somatic sex educator. De-armoring is what you were talking about a few minutes ago, Sarah, these moments where you just shut down, and that's being resourced. It's about honoring that. That is the body trying to take care of you, keep you here and alive. And that is really important. When we go into like a freeze or a fight or a flee or a fawn, these are all life-saving things that our bodies do for us. Oh, granted, sometimes the tripwire is a little too sensitive, you know, but even that's okay. That's just where someone is in the day or in the moment. And so, first of all, it's about honoring that process and not trying to force it, like, try to make fetch happen. It's about recognizing that armor is there for a reason. It is doing good work.
Yeah.
And it's part of this process of building trust with a body, including our own bodies. Recognizing, first of all, that that's just what bodies do, and thank goodness that they do. I think it's about the move that happens when we wait, when we pause, when we ally and accomplice ourselves with those processes. Because
ally yourself with your natural kind of response. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's about, let's just try something else. Or like, let's ease up a little bit. Maybe try again in a few minutes. It's about that allyship of saying, like, I recognize that your body is doing something really lovely and protective, and I'm going to align myself with that. Did you want me to do the activity, actually?
Yeah, I think
The
that'd be
de-armoring?
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's 2 rounds, and it's a couple of seconds each. The first round, it can be really tough. It's really tough to be a participant in it. It can be tough to watch. I just want to foreground that. The second round, really nice.
Okay.
You're going to like me a lot better in the second round.
Okay.
What it involves, the first round, is a difference between forcing and allying. So what I would invite you to do, if you feel comfortable doing so, is hold out one of your hands, and in the kind of like divot in your palm, imagine placing there something that is deeply precious to you, something you care about, something you want to tend to, something that you value very highly and you care about. And what I'd invite you to do is to then, once you have placed it there, make a fist and close fist around that thing. That is you fiercely protecting that thing that you cherish. In this first round, it's only going to last a couple of seconds. May I touch your hand? I'm going to try in this moment to get your fist open because I want that thing that's in the middle. Okay? You okay?
There are 2 sets of very lovely nails in combat at this moment,
Okay.
trying to get the fist open.
So,
It's not budging.
yeah. How did that feel? What did you notice?
Well, my very long nails are really cutting into my palm. The thing I chose, this is like a very interesting exercise to do, particularly because I chose my daughter. And so like instantly when you said to like close a tight fist around it, I was like, oh God, because this is like the push and the pull that happens with her and I. The harder I try to control or protect, guide, those sorts of things in a way that is that kind of tight, closed fist, she pushes against it.
Yeah.
So as you're trying to get my fist open, it has this feeling of like, when you're like in a standoff, you're like, ah, fuck. Like, I can't give up now, but I chose the wrong approach. Like, this is not the way. There's another way. Where you're like, I might win this. I'm pretty sure that I can keep my fist closed.
Good.
But at what cost?
Well, and you're experiencing the pain of the nails digging. How did you feel about me when I was doing that?
Oh, I did have that feeling of like, I know I'm going to win. So in that way, it's like, it's this oppositional stance of like, we are working at odds with each other. So there's like both the victory and the disappointment kind of baked into that relationship that we're in now.
So
because
interesting.
it's just like, well, why am I even, why are we in this battle? But like, I'm going to fucking win.
Yeah. If I can share what I noticed, I felt you tighten. I felt that like I am going to win. What the fuck are you doing trying to get at this precious thing?
Yeah.
So the second round, again,
Same thing.
same thing.
Ruby's going
Close.
in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Close your fist. And this time I'm going to, if you allow me to touch your hand again, to move my hands around your fist. Okay?
Lucy's got her hand below and above cupping Sarah's fist.
So nice.
Kind of like a hand hug.
Yeah.
A lot of eye gazing going on.
Robin's commentary.
Sorry, I gotta let the folks know at home what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
So what
That's
happened there?
nice.
What did you notice?
Well, it's like you're coming in to also help me protect this thing. Like, I don't have to grip as hard. It's that, like, mutual aid, that support that you were talking about earlier, like, actually in physical form. Of like, okay, I can, like, release a little bit because the village is here to, like, help me with this job. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am with you. I'm aligning myself with you. And I noticed if in the first round you tightened that fist, in the second round, I felt like, especially at the end, your fist wanted to loosen a little bit.
Yeah.
There wasn't a fight. I didn't have to clench.
So it was, my hand wasn't even like slightly open.
Yeah.
When your hands came off of it.
And it's a simple exercise, but it's like, even just watching, like, I'm emotionally affected.
Is there a way to do this for yourself where like one hand
Yeah.
comes and creates kind of like the soothing around the other hand?
I can do both rounds just myself.
Like, let yourself feel the tension, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
The instinct is there. I get it. I see you. I'm honoring it. I'm going to let you like bear down and then go and do the second.
How do you feel about that would translate towards what's going on in the political environment for queer folks, trans folks at home that are feeling really attacked in these moments, feeling like armoring is the only thing we can do?
Oh, yeah.
How can we use this kind of softening in that context?
I think sometimes you don't.
Yeah. I guess in community,
Yeah.
you do, but
When I go into so many experiences, I'm going in armored. And I have good reason to do that.
yeah.
I've seen some shit. I think so much of it is relational. And it's about like, am I in a space? Am I in an experience where somebody is bringing an energy and intention to the experience, to my body, to the room that tells me, okay, you don't have to hold it as much. I remember a client, they'd been on hormones for 6 months and I checked in with them and how are you doing? And the client said something so beautiful, never forgotten it. I feel nothing. And it wasn't like a lack. It was, I am just not devoting energy to moving around the world in as much of an armored way.
What a relief.
Yeah, what a relief. It's those moments where you get to go off red alert and transfer some more of the shield power back to life support, back to the holodeck or whatever.
Always bringing it round to
Down
Star Trek.
Yeah, I will always do that.
Have you heard of the work? I'll give you another clue. Byron Katie.
I recently did look this up because our couples therapist told us to. But I only very briefly looked it up, and I would love to know more because apparently it is incredibly relevant to my relationship.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel mildly attacked by myself when I have done it.
Oh, boy.
And I'm so glad it came up because I was like, why am I not regularly doing this? So this was introduced to me by a healer. Her name is Sukhmani. And the thing that brought it up for me when Dr. Shannon was talking is this idea of like reactive communication and the ways in which our feelings can become truth inside our own heads.
Yeah.
And then we react from that place as if like how we're feeling about a thing is actually what is the thing that has happened. So this process, it's 4 questions.
Okay.
And it's something that you can use if you're feeling activated, if you're feeling triggered, if you're having hurt feelings about something, if something's just kind of like gotten under your skin and you're not quite sure why.
Okay.
And I find it to be a really nice way to give empathy to yourself.
Okay.
So you were talking about empathy, and I think we also need to give it to ourselves.
That's right.
All right. So you take the thing that you're saying, like, you don't love me because you did X.
Right.
And the first question is it true?
Okay, can we walk through this with a specific thing that I think that I know isn't probably, is it true?
Let's do it.
I have a thought and emotion from my personal experience and, patriarchy that men will never see me as a whole person. But that's the thing that I desire the most from them.
Okay, so I think in this case, as you're going through this process, instead of it being men, it probably has to be a specific person. But just have it in your head.
Okay.
Okay, so you have this statement, like, I don't have full value.
Right.
Or this person does not see that I have value. Is it true? And I think that first question, what that first question does is it really just gives you a pause.
Right.
That thing that Dr. Shannon is talking about of like, give yourself 20 minutes.
Right.
Like, slow your roll.
Right.
Like, is it true?
Is it true?
And I think when you're asking yourself that question, what's coming up for you?
I'm not sure if it's true. I don't want it to be true, but I wonder if social conditioning makes it so it's very difficult for some people to have that be true.
Okay. Can you absolutely know it's true?
No, I'll never know.
Okay. How do you react? Like, what happens in your body? What actions do you take when you believe that thought to be true?
I feel angry and hurt and undervalued.
Who would you be? What would happen if that thought were not true?
I would feel more validated and seen and appreciated by the people that I care about most.
And now you get to just sit with that. So it's like this really simple thing of, is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? What happens when you believe that it's true? And basically, like, what happens if it's not true?
Right.
Those are the 4 questions.
And that's just trying to get to the truth of the situation.
I think it's also creating a little bit of a buffer
Right.
between the triggering feeling
Yeah.
and like what other possibilities exist.
Right. Like by the time we get to the end of it, it starts me questioning what's the point of the thought? Like, why am I thinking it? Is it because I have feelings of low self-esteem and I'm trying to pinpoint where it's coming from externally? Is it because I'm
outsourcing it?
Yeah. Or am I desiring things from people maybe partly because I know I can't get it from them? Is that why I choose certain people? Because I have this expectation and so I seek out that expectation? And if I let go of this feeling, would that then bring what I'm missing into my life, or what I feel like I'm missing? Because I don't need to be getting my worth from other people. And if someone's not seeing me as full human, that's their problem, although it can be my problem in how they behave towards me. I don't know. I hate being a human.
What just happened is like all the different ways it branches out, which is what I think is so interesting. The 4 questions are really simple.
Right.
But then depending on what the circumstances, you start going into like, oh, well, where is this rooted? Or, where did this come from? Or, you've talked about doing a lot of things to be kind of like one of the guys, So like clearly there have been some actions that you've taken to unintentionally perhaps perpetuated.
Right.
Like, look at me, I'm doing everything I can. And you still just won't accept me for who I am. And it's like, yeah, because you're showing up in that space for not like your full self, not who you are.
Not as who I am.
And for me, sometimes I even then isn't even as positive, like where I land of like, oh, well, shit, this is of my making.
Right. So emotionally intelligent. Such a better way to live than just trigger happy all the time.
Bookmarking the Byron Katie's The Work. I think that she does like live streams and stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you for that process.
So fuck yeah to the work.
Fuck yeah to the work. So much work to do, Sarah. I'm glad we're on the path together.
Yeah, me too.
And that you've joined us, dear listeners.
Yes, please find us at Fuck Yeah Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Email us at fyeahpod@gmail.com. Fuck yeah.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Fiercely Independent Media. Fuck Yeah Podcast is hosted, edited, and produced by Robin Jennings and Sarah Tom Chesson, also known as my mom. Theme music by Suno AI. Your support means a lot. You can give to the show and receive perks at patreon.com/fuckyeahpod. You can also rate and review the show or share it with a friend. You can reach us at fyeahpod@gmail.com. Bye for now.